As town names go in Ireland, this one has always had a funny but memorable ring to it.
Dingle.
Say the name.
Dingle.
And this is what the locals have always hoped would come to mind. The colorful buildings, the amazing aquarium, the spectacular coastline, the peaceful bay, honored, of course, in song.
And send them safely back to Dingle Bay.
Yes, Dingle had everything going for it until it wasn't Dingle anymore. Now it's on Dangan, or to use its full name, the original Irish language term that once described what this town was all about. Lifelong Dingle area resident, area resident T.P. O'Connor explains.
Dangan in Irish means the fortress of O'Couche.
The what?
The fortress of O'Couche.
That was the beauty of all the original Irish town names throughout the country. They once meant something, until the English took over and anglicized the words, spelling them sort of like how they sounded. Kilvegan, or the Church of St. Vegan, became Kilbegan. Rathconarta, or the Fort of Conarta, became Rathconrath, and on and on.
Dingle means nothing.
Yeah.
But it was a brand name. It was a name that worked.
For hundreds of years, until a law went into effect in 2005, changing the town names back to their original form in the few areas of Ireland where the native language is still spoken.
And Ishkadon and Dangan.
The act itself is a very good act.
It helps preserve the culture. But Dingle,
Dangan in
has, or had, a well-known name as a tourist attraction. And now,
we're losing out, basically, because they can't find Dingle. They're not going to spend hours driving around the place looking for some place that doesn't seem to be there anymore.
So, townspeople like Fergus O'Flaherty are fighting back, organizing protests, keeping the heat on until a compromise is reached with both names sharing the billing.
Are the Irish fighters?
Oh, they certainly have all down through history.
Historic tales of epic struggles passed down through the generations in stories and songs.
Oh, it would make a great song, and songs have been written.
Make no mistake, we will not take.
Of course they have.
If you ever want to get rid of something, don't ever ban it. If you ban something, they're going to keep it whether you like it or not.
Lawmakers have promised to readdress the issue. When?
Sooner rather than later, because we'd like all you Americans to be able to find us this year, 2009, and to come on your holidays here to beautiful West Kerry, the town of Dingle Dangan ní Cúis.
He was looking for a place to relocate on the west coast of Ireland, Dingle Bay to be precise, where there's loads of scenery, loads of fish, and loads of company. Say hello to Dingle's most famous resident, Fungie the Dolphin. Named after a local fisherman, Fungie first made his presence known in April of 1984. Why here?
Nobody knows. No, nobody knows. The experts say that he just fell in love with this place, but there's also a rumour that a mother maybe of his and another calf were washed up on one of the beaches when he came here first, and we think maybe that he was belonged to that family and he just associates the place with his family.
Since that initial sighting 4 years ago, scuba divers Ronnie Fitzgibbon and Deirdre O'Connor have made visits to Fungie part of their daily routine. And they're not alone. A number of local fishermen, realizing that a sightseer is really the biggest catch of all, have thrown out their nets and pulled in the cash.
They make a lot more money taking people out to see the dolphin than they take fish, and isn't it a good thing to leave the fish in the sea?
But is it a good thing for a dolphin in the wild to get so much attention? People swim with him, play with him, do everything but feed him. And what does Fungie get out of this? Why does he always give them a show? Every hour? Every day?
He's only seen nice people here, that are happy people. He's never seen any aggression, and the people he sees, he likes.
Maybe that's because he doesn't get involved in the business of being a star dolphin. Not since Ryan's Daughter was filmed here almost 20 years ago have so many tourists flocked to the area. The local businessmen have always appreciated Dingle's selling points. beauty is here in abundance.
And furthermore, now we have a dolphin.
Leave it to the Irish, though, to add something else to the value of a dolphin in the bay. Leave it to the Irish to turn a natural event into something mystical.
They say if a dolphin is in the harbour, in a certain fishing harbour, that none of the fishermen will drown, or none of the boats will sink or be damaged. And it's true, actually, nothing has happened to any of the fishermen around Dingle since the dolphin came. Well, nothing happened before that either, but we like to think that he's just good luck.
Good luck that will last as long as he does. Heaven forbid even the thought of his departure.
Oh, I'd be broken-hearted. No, I would really. It'd be terrible if he left.
And they all know that there's nothing stopping him.
We're here in the broad Atlantic Ocean, next parish is America, and we can leave, or he can leave any time and go, but he chooses to stay.
The reason, according to the locals, is quite obvious.
Dingle is a beautiful place. You couldn't leave Dingle anyway.
For today, Mike Leonard, NBC News, in Dingle, County Kerry, Ireland. How can a hurried tourist, with so many staggering views to choose from, even hope to get a true, comprehensive picture of Ireland's distinct character? Well, for one, you can race across the ever-changing landscape in the left side passenger seat of one of those Euro-style rental cars and experience the wonderful exhilaration of literally brushing shoulders with the Irish countryside. Or you can plant your feet firmly in any number of extraordinarily colorful locations and simply let the magical sights come to you. And what sights they are, those Irish faces. All different, yet remarkably identifiable.
In any country.
You can pick them out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course you can.
Now, other faces in other lands might appear more beautiful, but this...
It's just an easier face to look at, I suppose, yeah.
Thanks to that little laugh, that little giggle that punctuates so many Irish sentences. Why?
I couldn't explain that to you.
He said, laughingly.
Imbued in every Irish personality, there is a devilish sense of humour in a way.
An infectious one at that.
We are naturally a fun-loving, humorous nation, and we don't have to have drink to do it either.
Funny how we latch on to those stereotypes.
Oh, to hell with it. We'll have another pint.
And another laugh at the cliched notion that you need red hair, rosy cheeks, and a face full of freckles to really belong here.
Do you think you look Irish?
I never thought about it.
Then let me ask you this. Is the Irish look a good look?
I hope so. I have to live with it.
Just as they've had to live with a history that wasn't so funny. Oppression, famine, emigration. How does humor fit in with all of that?
Well, I think that's what kept a lot of the Irish people alive, the sense of humour and the will to live. If you haven't got a sense of humour, it isn't worth living as far as the Irish are concerned.
Ask an Irish farmer to assess his very ordinary life, and he'll keep peering into those ever-present clouds until he catches a glimpse of the silver lining, even if it's just a stitch.
Well, I was a jack of all trades and a master, maybe you've known.
It's a way to face their flaws, a genetic trait transferred here from age to age,
And then passed all the way down to me, a second-generation Irish-American who instinctively knows that the best way to deal with this imperfect mug is to grin and bear it.
Maybe even strike a nice closing pose with my cousin. We're not that funny looking, are we?
Well, that's questionable.
For today, Mike Leonard, NBC News, in Dingle, County Kerry. On your list of things to see when in Ireland, you've probably already put a checkmark by the green fields, the rocky coastlines, the stone walls, the old castles, the colorful bars, the sheep, the cows, and the people. Now,
dude,
the time has come to add yet another item to that must-see agenda. Surfers. Irish surfers. Didn't know there were any, did you?
Well, we try to keep it to ourselves, you know.
This little secret about those big waves that arrive in unheralded but spectacular fashion, giving the west coast of Ireland some of the best surf breaks in the world.
It's because we're sitting in the North Atlantic and we get swells that spin up from the Caribbean and also from the Arctic. And during the winter we get really good stormy swells, and then if the wind goes offshore, the waves become nice and clean and the swells get good.
But if the swells are so swell, where are all the people? What's keeping them away?
Ice cream headaches, you know the headache you get when you eat ice cream too quickly? You just, after but two duckings out there, your head just goes, and you have to stop and just go, ah, my head.
And that's just your head.
Describe what your hands feel like when you're out there.
Numb.
Keep going.
Your feet feel like just cold slabs of ice and you're shaking, so you've got to be pretty hardcore to surf here all year round.
Hardcore and then some, says Peter Cook, the Australian surfer who was invited to Bundoran in County Donegal to help coach an Irish national team that he knew would be quirky enough to actually enjoy plunging into waters that have yet to reach the 50-degree mark.
Irish are just Irish, you know, they're just, you know, they'll go down to the pub, have a pint of Guinness and, you know, have a chat, talk about sort of redoing the world in another way, and then go off and write a bit of poetry.
Leaving us to laugh at this clash of cultures. Beach boys and girls meeting in a Bundoran building where right across the hall a very un-Beach Boy-like band practices for their next gig. Here, the local surf shop sells surfer shirts, but so far old Patty isn't buying. Irish surfers are known to be cold. They're just not cool. Not yet. Surfer style, surfer lingo hasn't quite caught on with the general public here in Ireland. I still haven't heard anybody in a pub say, "Hey dude, isn't this gnarly weather a bummer?"
No, they wouldn't know a wipeout from a West Highland Terrier.
But they do know a good break when they see one, living here in what could be one of the hottest surf spots on the planet, if it weren't so cold.
Exactly, yeah, I know. Well, we're a hardy bunch anyway.
For today, Mike Leonard, NBC News in Bundoran, County Donegal.